Hey everyone, so today I'm going to share with you a special story about me shaping my own longboard. And this isn't the first board I've shaped either, this is my fourth. I started a journey a few years back when I started shaping boards, and the reason I did it was because I wanted something unique, my own, something that I could say, this is what I get to surf, it's my own product. But this new board here, it's a 10-9 and it's long. And I thought, okay, there's going to be a lot of volume in this new board I want to build. It's going to be unique, again, something cool, old school, heavily glassed. That's kind of what I do. That's my thing. So I did a lot of research, and as I was researching through YouTube and looking for something new to shape and form some sort of design, old school design, I kind of stumbled across something unique. I found a video by Mike Davis, an old school shaper. And what he was forming here, I was like watching this as he was shaping his board, and I was like, what's this guy doing? What's he doing to the nose? Instead of concaving the bottom of the nose, he actually made a concave on the deck. And it's called a step deck. This is kind of unique to me because I've never seen one. It's a rather old school way of making a board, and around 1964, when innovation in the longboard shaping community was flying through the roof, which coincidentally was the same year that Porsche came out with their 911 series. So as you can see, 1964 was like a hotbed for design in all aspects. I want to go back to that time. Really exciting time, and then all of a sudden it went to a grinding halt as the shortboard revolution took over. So this old school method of shaping the deck of the board and making it into what they call a step deck, all the greats back in the day were doing it. There was Yater that made the Yater spoon, and then Harbor surfboards came along and started making the cheater version of it, which they called the cheater because they said that it was so easy once you got to the nose that you could actually feel it was such an easier nose ride. And then Greg Noel made a version of it that lasted several years called the Cat. And the Cat was, of course, one designed for the legendary Mika Dora. Back in 1964, when the ideas were flying around for the theory of a scooped out step deck allowed for the nose to flex straight for nose riding and reduce the swing weight when turning. So let's hear Mike's take on the step deck.
The thing is, the more drag you put up in front of the board, it trips you up while you're walking the nose. Because you're just putting that fat rail in the water, it just starts to slow you down. With this, you put it in the heart of the face. It only goes in so far, but it stops you from sliding. You can actually get on your inside rail and climb back up and hold your nose right longer.
Of course, with a lot of the modern day longboards, they're more of a performance longboard, where there's more nose rocker and a lighter weight board, so it's fairly easy to turn. It's almost like shortboarding on a longboard. But the old school longboards, very similar to the type that I'm shaping, is very heavy boards, and they're like sailing a freighter, trying to turn this freighter around. So the step deck was a unique way to make these heavy boards, heavily glassed boards, maneuver a little bit easier and to catch some great nose rides. So here's a quick explanation of the Cat by Randy Rarick.
All right, so here we are with the board everybody loves, Mika Dora, the Cat model. Now, Greg made these from 66 through 67. There was 3 generations of them. The first one had glass on fins, really deep step decks in them. Then the second generation, a little bit more shallow, square tails. And then the third generation, they went to pintails. So you see the logo is up here on the front. All the other ones, the logos were in the back. And this one has a beautiful campy 60 style inlay on the deck, a full inlay. Goes all the way from the nose to the tail. And then here's the step deck, and this is what makes unique. You can see here, I'll turn the light off. You can see the step goes like this and steps down, and everybody had a version of their step deck, but this was the one that made uniquely Cat models. And so it's kind of neat that you can see that. You can see how it's got a little bit of a V pattern to it. And by the time they got to the third generation like these, they were really getting thin and really high performance. So this is, really what a Cat model should look like when it's been fully restored. And generation 3, there you go.
So the way I see it is there's becoming a bit of a resurgence for the demand of old school surfing again, the way that they did it back in the day. So looking back to the past to be able to find the future of longboarding. I think that's what I find really exciting, and that's why I decided to shape longboards in the first place, and to, do something a little bit unique and different. And there's definitely a resurgence happening here with the longboard community. So I'm really excited about this build, but like I say, I'm a novice shaper and I make a lot of mistakes. This is my 4th build, and I have no real glassing experience. I'm terrible at it, in fact. But luckily, I've found that with every mistake you make, more or less with a little bit of time and patience, may take a little longer, but everything can be fixed. And that's what I'm figuring out too. So I'm learning. This is a learning process for me. And so yeah, let's get started. This is it. This is what I call my Steppenwolf. Why not? It's born to be wild. So one of the first issues I had with this massive 10-9 plank is glassing. And, after I'd formed the board and shaped it as I wanted to do, was trying to glass it and, breaking down the resin into different, buckets so that when it started to cure, I'd be able to quickly change buckets and add more resin instead of having to go back and mix a new batch. It was all ready to be just let it go. So this is it. This is my first coat here, and as you can see, there's a few issues with it. There was some air bubbles that I wanted to get cut out, so I wanted to do this one properly, and I fixed some of the air bubbles. But the worst thing I think with glassing for me is getting the cut lap on it. You can see here, this is a complete disaster, and I actually thought it was pretty good until it started to cure. And as you can see, wow, okay. But as I said, a little bit of patience and a lot of time, a lot of sanding, everything can be fixed. And I think I did a pretty good job of fixing the cut lap here, as you can see here on this next picture. So that's not bad, And what I've got is 1 layer of glass, so it's 6-ounce glass on the bottom. And then I do 2 layers of 6-ounce glass on the deck. And it turns out not bad, and yeah, it looks kind of crappy, the rails, I get it, but the whole idea with this for me is I found out that I've kind of cheated, that I'm able to cover up all my mistakes with putting panels on the side, so that's pretty cool. Plus it looks really cool, the panels, I think. A lot of sanding, and one of the reasons I've found myself doing a lot of sanding here is because like I say, I'm a novice shaper and I forget stuff. Like, there's so much to learn, and that's part of the excitement of the enjoyment. And there's also a lot of frustration. And one of the things I found frustrating about this is the things that I forget, because usually I'll shape a board and then there'll be a year before my next board. So I went through a lot of sandpaper this time. And why? Because I actually didn't add any wax into the hot coats. So the hot coats came out nice and glossy, but when I started sanding them, for any of you that have ever tried to sand a hot coat that has no wax in it, it's like it just keeps on sticking to the sandpaper. It's a nightmare, but that's part of the learning process as well. And really pleased with the panels here. They've just turned out beautiful. I've also put a little bit of 70s style to it with some sparkles in it, just to make it a little unique and different. And I've never seen a board with sparkles in it before, but yep, that's right, I got sparkles in my board. And it looks pretty cool from a real life perspective, but it's hard to see on camera here. So yeah, this is it. I'm doing the panels, getting it nice and glossy, but as I said, at this moment I didn't realize it, but I had forgotten to put wax in the hot coat. So the next process of sanding was a nightmare, and not to mention, for some reason, I'm using a new resin here, a new polyurethane resin, and it just is a little trickier. I think there's a little bit of a finesse to changing up resins, but some of the coats were really nice, but some of them came out a little blotchy and just needed a lot more sanding. So sanding is the biggest issue that I've had with this board here. And then, of course, you could see the dimensions here, 24.5 wide, 3.5 in width. So it's going to have a lot of volume, this board, but that's just great, because the way I see it is the nose, and I both have a concave on the bottom, but I also have the step deck on the top, so it's going to be very flexible up on the nose. And the tail, I'm really pleased with it as well. It's gotten a really nice shape to it. Thin tail, square tail, just a beautiful, beautiful board. So I'm really happy with this, and like I say, there's a learning curve in shaping for any of you shapers out there that are starting out. Most of the time, they say that if you want to make a showroom surfboard, one that you can actually sell, you have to be able to shape between 50 and 100 boards, and that's a lot. 50 and 100 boards. This is my 4th. So as high my expectations are, I have to also be a little bit realistic. There's going to be mistakes, and it's not going to look like a showroom board. But the enjoyment of surfing your own board, that is what showroom. As you can see here, it's a difficult camera angle, but there's a lot of rocker I put on the tail of the board. And, just to give it a really good swing, like where I can get the tail into the pocket and buried in the wave and get the rails dug in there. And, just to be able to give a lot of flex on the board, hopefully, and see what happens. This is exciting. I don't know how the board's going to perform, but at the moment I'm having a blast shaping it and just going off. There's no real plan here. I'm just kind of winging it as I go. This is a step deck. It's an old school board. I don't have any mentors out there that are trying to recommend this or recommend that. I'm just figuring it out as I go. I don't have any templates to follow, so I'm just having a blast sculpting it and making it into a piece of art. I'm so pleased with how this board is shaping up, and just finishing off with the final gloss coat, doing some wet sanding here to really get through to the finish and make it shine as bright as possible. But like I say, this is not a showroom board, unfortunately, so I'm not getting the high gloss finish I hoped for, but it's still pretty shiny nonetheless. Yeah, so here I am polishing off. This one here, look at it. I mean, this is the green one on the left. I built that last year. It's a 10-3. You can see the difference between the 10-3 green and the new one here, the 10-9 step deck. It's just a beautiful board. So this one is going to be a part 2. There's going to be a to be continued. Because as you can see here, I'm off on a little business trip. I'll be away for a few weeks, and destination unknown. But when I get back, I will be completing. And oh, look at this! What have I got here? Oh, 60/40 wheels. Ah, when you're a shaper, everything in your eye looks like a board. So I'll be back in a few weeks. We'll continue this one where I can actually share some surfing, get the board in the water, and have a blast with it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We'll see you guys next time.